Shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. I'm going to give a double honor to the elders and apostles of GMS, Great Millstone, who do rule well in the salutation of the hope for elect. It's the brother Damawa from the GMS Cleveland branch coming back with a quick video, right? And this video is going to be pertaining to the mark of the beast, right? And everything, everything is being forward, right, into this mark, right? All the different so-called money institutions, right? All the different ways that these so-called people thought that they was going to be able to bypass the government, meaning with the Bitcoin, right? Through all these different various of internet purchases, right? But all of it, as you can see, all of it is being taken over by the so-called government, right? Which is so-called what, the B system, okay? And a lot of these people thought that they was going to be able to finesse. A lot of people thought that they was going to be able to create these different avenues, right? Without being taken over, okay? And that's another reason why we know that the mark of the beast is not sin, right? It's not sleeping with white women, right? Everybody, all these different camps been saying the mark of the beast is everything but what we seeing taking place, right? And that's the whole subject matter, right? So we're going to get all into the mark, all right? And we're going to break that down in Revelation, okay? And we're also going to break down, and we're also going to show you that you people who planning on taking the mark has no problem with whatever the government says. It's not going to be sweet for you either, okay? Even if you do take the mark, it's only going to spare you about a month or two, all right? But it's not going to be the end of your problems, all right? So first of all, let's play a little bit of this clip, okay? Just to show you that they're taking any type of substitution, right? They're taking any type of avenue that the so-called people think that they have a way to get around this, right? Are they taking all this off the they're taking this they're taking all this off the market from people to choose from, right? Because once they start the process, right, of resetting this place, once the power will go out, right, there's going to be no slick way for you to do business, right? Period. That's how they want it. And I got a feeling, it's just me speaking as a man, I got a feeling that they are going to sit back for like a week or so, see what's going on, and once they hear that people are figuring out this and figuring out that, that's when they're going to start deploying the National Guard, right, and saying that these places are under chaos just so they can seize control of situations, right? Because let's not forget, they want people in this desperate situation. They want people starving. They want people with no hope, right? All right, so you'd be more acceptable in taking that mark of the beast, taking that chip, taking that RFID chip, right? So let's play a little bit of this.
Enemies hold gold in their banks, so their assets would go to zero. Our assets would go to $100 trillion, and we would control the world's reserve capital network as well as the world's reserve currency network.
This scheme could magically wipe away the current deficit, which Trump alluded to in the recent past.
Who knows, maybe we'll pay off.
See, now, before he get into it, did y'all just really peep what they said? So basically, they trying to come up with a scheme to get rid of the debt and still have control over everything and more control over the people, right? Now, I don't know about you all, right? But what type of leaders is evading a debt, right? That they a debt that they collected, right? What type of leader, right? What type of man does that, right? And that's a prime example to show you that these people are not the real leaders, right? Because they can't even make sound decisions when it comes to leading the country, let alone doing the right thing with the country. All right. So we have to understand that this government is bogus, right? It's bogus, right? And it's basically ran by children, all right? The so-called Edomites, man, all right? That's why they're too busy passing laws about gender and things that don't matter about importance. Because what? Because they don't want the people to shake out of this comatose, right? Shake out of this stupidness, right, that they didn't put on the masses of the people by the way of these different apps and different things like that, right? So the people mind are blinded from real responsibility, real things that are going on in the world, right? That's why the scripture says, "Well, be circumspect," right? And the scripture also says, "Be not ignorant of a small or great matter," right? But these people are fully set in being ignorant, right? As long as they get they food stamps and loans is their power is on, they can care less about what's really keeping it on and what's really the next move for the people as a whole, right? But that's why the Lord said that he's going to catch these people off guard, right? Because they're not going to be looking for any type of real solutions, because they are totally dependent on the government, right? Which is going to be their downfall.
For our $35 trillion, hand them a little crypto check, right? We'll hand them a little Bitcoin and wipe out our $35 trillion.
Early Bitcoin advocate Roger Ver is being threatened with 109 years in prison for tax evasion, even though he renounced his U.S. citizenship in 2014.
Now, check that out. Now, the guy, he was one of the earliest guys that was promoting Bitcoin before the government did what they did to it. And he was out of the U.S., right, since 2009, I think they said.
Weeks after published, Bitcoin advocate Roger Ver is being threatened with 109 years in prison for tax evasion, even though he renounced his U.S. citizenship in 2014. Weeks after publishing his book, Hijack.
You see, so basically, they don't want anybody knowing the truth, right, to be able to spread it once the government decides to do with whatever they want to do with whatever portion, right? If it's anybody speaking out against that, you see what they want to do. They want to lock you up, right? So they don't want to give warning to the people. They want the people under their rule, right? And that's why we're telling you that you people out here who still think that the Constitution is what's saving you from being put inside of one of those camps, or you having an AR pointed in your face, right, by a bunch of army men, right? That is preposterous, right? Only thing that is saving you is the Heavenly Father holding back, right, the wrath of this devil from coming down, right? Because it's not time yet, right? But as you can see, these people are they're well prepared and well ready, right, to do this to the whole earth at one time, right? And this guy was basically coming out with the truth. He put it all in the book. I'm about to let it play a little bit, right? Because he put it all in the book, and he's going to go in and basically tell you how these people is doing this to every financial entity, right, that doesn't really deal with the government. They're basically going through all of them right now and taking them over, right? And that's why you're seeing these little weeks go by and ain't nothing really going down there, because behind the scenes, Trump and his team is right now sewing up all loose ends, man. All right, all loose ends, man. So Revelation 13 and 16 is about to be in everybody's faces, right? Lord will, in the next couple months, right? Because our apostle did coin this the year, right? So let's play a little bit more.
Tracking Bitcoin, the hidden history of BTC, Roger Ver was arrested by Interpol in Spain and has been held in the country at the behest of the U.S. government. He was recently interviewed by Tucker Carlson as to why the U.S. government is is after him.
There was no doubt in my mind whatsoever that people were going to start using Bitcoin money for the world. Bitcoin was supposed to be used for payments as peer-to-peer cash for the world, and that's how people were using it. And I was doing payroll in it, and I was paying my suppliers overseas. But then later, this giant wave of censorship took place. Anonymous people that nobody knows their real names managed to get control of all the main discussion platforms for Bitcoin. And then suddenly, one day overnight, nobody was even allowed to advocate for Bitcoin being used as money, and they censored anybody that tried to do that.
You see, and that's important, man, because that's how they move. That's how they move with the Israelites. That's how they move with any other type of stands that ever try to come against America. That's how they move, right? That's how they move. They're gonna do intelligence on you. They ain't gonna too much let you know, right? And then all of a sudden, just one day, overnight, they're gonna send troops at your house, act like you did the most threatening things in the world, right? Just because they want to put the whole world, right, in subjection, right? And the Lord is going to allow this, right? Because the Lord is going to try everybody through this temptation, right? And the temptation is going to be you can't eat, right? The temptation is going to be that you can't buy or sell, right? That you can't live comfortably, right? That you can't do the thing that you normally would do unless you accept the mark to show that you officially property of the government per se, right? But let's go and get into this, right? Because this is the part where none of these camps really want to speak about, right? But this Revelation 13, right? Here we go. Revelation 13:16. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. And as you just heard in that video, that guy is worth millions, right? And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. Free and bond, right? In jail, free out here walking, rich, or you living paycheck to paycheck, right? Small, if you the smallest drug dealer on the corner, and great, meaning that your ass on Walmart, right? None of that don't matter, right? To receive the mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? And that's why the person who is regarding that's supposed to bring you these special technologies is who? Elon Musk. Where he's at? He's right next to the president. All of a sudden, right? He the one who is what? Behind the scenes, that's CEO of these companies that make these Neuralink chips that they go on your forehead, right? That make these the RFID chips that go on your hand, right? How much more plain can it be, right? But we're going to break it down a little bit more. Let's go into this word mark, right? Because these are the signs that the elect are looking for. We're not talking about you regular people. You people think we're crazy, but we think that you're crazy, right? Right, to even think that you can give power to a regular person, especially you goddamn Edomite, so-called white man who has had his foot on everybody's neck for the last couple hundreds of years. How the hell you think you about to give him all power and this nigga about to be just? He don't even deal justly now, right? Right? If a property is yours, you forever got to pay on it. So he doesn't deal just. He find more ways, right, to find a reason to get more money out your pocket, right? Tax the people to death, right? But when you go into this word mark, right, which is everything, right? It goes into the word
Strong's G 5480, charagma,
charagma, right? It says a stamp, imprinted mark of the mark stamp on the forehead or the right hand as a badge of the followers of the Antichrist. Right, man. The followers of the Antichrist, man. Why, man? Because the people who run this goddamn world, right, pertaining to what's that? Let's get it real quick, because I don't want to keep bringing up scriptures and not getting them, right? But this Job, Job 9:24, right? It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? So the wicked people, right, right? The wicked ones is ruling the earth right now, right? He cover up the faces of the judge thereof. If not, where and who is he? Right, man, because Russia came out with some of the true faces of the judges, right? So that goes to show you that the people who really mean you no good are the people portraying, right, to do you the best right now, okay? But it says of the mark stamped on the forehead or right hand as a badge of the followers of the Antichrist. Right, man. All right. So you getting this mark, right, is you basically saying that you're down with this wicked place and this wicked society, and you okay with it being up right when the Lord is about to come and knock it down. Right. And so if you're found with this mark, you're going to be found an enemy. And so the Lord is going to tell you what he's going to do with people who take this mark as well. We're going to get that too. Right. But it says the mark branded upon horses, things carved, sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images, man. Right, man. Right, man. Because the image that they're trying to put you in, right, is likewise of the image of the artificial intelligence that they to make it, right? But let's get some more of this, right? Let's get get that word mark. Damn, I did it wrong. Salakia. Okay, so we got the word mark, charagma, right? All right, now let's go into the etymology of it, right? It's a charax, right?
Strong's G 5482. Charax. Charax.
Charax, right? Which is a pal, a stake, a palisade, right? A pale between which earth stones that ain't what we're looking for, right? It says sharpened to a point, right, man? Because that's describing the tool that is used to stamp that mark, right? And when you go into a pal or a stake or a palisade, right, it would be what y'all people would call the needle, right? Because when they go stamp your hand, or when they put that little grain of rice in you, something pushes the rice in your hand, right? Once the needle pierces your skin, that's when they push that grain of rice into your body, right? And so we're giving you direct knowledge, right, from the Bible, telling you that this is exactly what it is, right? But you got people who out here who's paid, whose job is to make us seem like real crazy, right? But we didn't make these things up. We didn't make the blue letter, right? Right. So, you know, and then the last one is what?
Strong's G 1125. Grapho.
Grapho, right? To write with reference to the form of letters, right? To commit to writing. Used to those which stand written in the sacred book, right, man? Because what you have to understand is what they're going to do once they put that chip inside of you, right? They're going to have everybody information, right? On the what? On that big ass internet board that they talking about right now, right? Storing the memory, right? To everything that go to the internet, right? And so this is what you see going on. And once you get these people your hand, right, they're gonna have all your information. They're gonna be able to do whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do, right, at whatever time. And that means what? Cutting off your chip, cutting off the opportunity for you to go buy and sell and living life because of whatever they feel like you done did, right? For you speaking out against the government, they're able to cut off your supply, right? So all these things is just another way to have more control over the people, right? And they're willingly giving up their control, right, to the government, man, right? when all this fighting throughout all history, all this fighting with different ancestors, different nations. Even when you go back and watch half of these nations that was dealing with Rome back then, even most of the Edomites that are now or at that time that was vassal states with Rome, best believe their ancestors fought against Rome to keep their sovereignty, right? But throughout the years, governments of these different kingdoms, right, took over places, right, took over place to the point now to where every society is ran by a government, right? And so now they're about to do the ultimate control power move, right? Which is what? Unite, and then so now they can have all the people on the same regiment, right? So there's no escaping no matter where you go, right? And this will be hell on earth forever, right? And the Lord allowed these people to really get this type of control, gain this type of control, right? So this never going to happen, because if it was, it would have happened before with the Tower of Babel, right? Because this ain't nothing new. People trying to gain control over the world when the Lord didn't want it to be like that, right? But let's listen to a little bit more of what he have to say, and then we're going to get what's going to happen to them people who are going to take this mark, right?
Censored anybody that tried to do that. And initially everybody saw through it, but then everybody that came to Bitcoin after the censorship began, they just started believing it. And today, the main people that are out there promoting Bitcoin, they literally say, oh, Bitcoin shouldn't compete with the US dollar. Bitcoin, you shouldn't use it as money. You shouldn't use it to pay for things. Like, Bitcoin is just a digital asset. You should just hold it. And it's the exact opposite. They've through the censorship and the propaganda, they've literally hijacked Bitcoin. And I literally wrote an entire book about it. You can find more at hijackingbitcoin.com. It's available on Amazon and everywhere else. And lo and behold, just a couple of weeks after the book is published, I get arrested, and now I'm facing 109 years in federal prison for having exposed the way in which Bitcoin was hijacked. Is it now possible?
Wow. You see, and that's what's coming, man. That's what's going on, man. That's what's going on, man. You hear me? That's what's going on. These people are about to make their move, right? They're about to make their move, man. So if you ain't been prepping yourself and you ain't been getting ready, if you ain't been getting right with the Heavenly Father, man, all right, you're going to get caught out here. And if you take that mark, right, it's going to be ugly for you. I'm just going to say like that, man. But let's get a couple of scriptures, right, to back up some of these claims that I'm saying, right? So let's go to Revelation 16 and 2. It says, and the first went and poured out his veil upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the man which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image. Right, man. Because a lot of these people are going to get some disgusting sores even once they take it, right? And you can kind of link this into the first test that they gave you back in 2020 with that jump shot, right? Because it's coming out. I was going to do a video on that because the boy Angry Prepper is bringing it out more and more now, because the whole fire department damn near got stage 4 cancer, right? And he was basically saying and going into how everybody is coming up with this diagnosis now. Now, when you go to the hospital, a lot of people are getting back that they got stage 4 cancer, and they was never even diagnosed with them even having the issue. Okay, and so that's what this goddamn devil has planned, man, for you people, man. All right, it's to inject you with something that's not even compatible with your body, for one, and for two, the Lord is going to allow this goddamn devil to inject half of y'all, man, so y'all could be destroyed. All right, because y'all a bunch of hard-headed ass people, right? Bunch of prideful ass. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick, right? Let's get that, because a lot of people be trying to question the Lord. Hold on, what is it? Is it 8 and 50? I think it's 8 and 50. Yep. Here we go. 2 Esdras 8 and 50. For many great miseries should be done to them that in the latter time should dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. Right, man. So by that great pride that these people have been walking in, right? Not hearkening to the voice of the Lord, making fun of everything, totally disingenuous, totally totally opposite from the road that the Lord assigned for people, right? So these people are going to get hit with great miseries, right? They're going to get hit with great great hurt, man, right? Right? They're going to be put in some very stringent positions, man, right? But understand thou for thyself and seek out the glory for such as be like thee, right, man? And that's why the apostles now make it a household name, right? To let people know that we're looking for the elect, because the elect is the only ones that are going to say no to this, right? The elect is the only ones that know what's really going on, right? We know that these things must come, and this is the sign, right? This is one of the last biggest prophecies to come before our Heavenly Father sent His Son back, right? So we want y'all to push this, right? But the people out there, they don't know. They really think that this is what they see here in America is all that is left, right? What you see over in America, this is all you got to choose from, all right? But we're here telling you no, all right? The kingdom of heaven is about to be established, right? And He gave this prophecy to the so-called white man to take himself out, him and all his cronies, right? But by this way, you're going to see what type of people that you're dealing with, right? And so the Lord is going to be justified in bringing that fire on these people, man, right? Because they love this wickedness, right? Let's get one more real quick. Let's get Revelation 19 and 20. It says, and the beast was taken, right? And with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, right, man? So that's all your leaders, right, of this government establishment, as well as your motherfucking popes, right? Right, because the popes is the false prophets, right? That wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that had worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. You see, cast alive. So basically, after y'all take this mark, right? After y'all take that so-called charagma, right, that RFID chip, right, He's going to allow that war to go and take place, right, and within that, He's going to show up. His Son is going to show up. Yahushua going to be back in the spaceships, beaming up the elect, while the missiles from Russia and Iran are being shot over here, and we know that they could be over here in 30 minutes, right? So within that time, right, you're going to remember these words, right? When the missiles is heading over here, you're going to see certain people getting you're going to see the elect getting beamed up, and you're going to wish that you can go, right? But you're going to be here alive, wishing you can die, right? But He ain't going to let you. You're going to feel those missiles. You're going to feel those missiles, bro. I don't want to be no part of that. I don't want to take part in that, right? Right, because that's really punishment for the wicked. That is punishment for these Edomites and these other nations, right? But 2/3 of Jake, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, y'all going to get caught up in this too, because y'all believed in this devil instead of believing in the one who created everything, right? So I don't want to drag it along. I hope this lesson was edifying. It went on way further, way more than what I thought it would be, right? But I hope the point got across, right? It's charagma, Karax, and then grapho when you go into that word mark, right? And charagma mean what? Stamp, imprinted mark of the Antichrist, right? Karax is the it's the pale, it's the palisade, it's the needle, right? And grapho is the record, right? That's where they're going to keep all your information, store your information, right? So these things is a no-no, right, by the Bible, and it's not going to be easy, right? It's not going to be easy, right? But I don't want to feel that lake of fire. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash, Shalom.